Hey, this is Stacia, and today we are going to do a tactics puzzle. So this one is black to move and win. So if you want to pause your video and see if you can find the answer, go ahead and do so now. Okay, so I really liked this one. I actually got it wrong. so we're going to actually step through this together without moving the pieces, and I will draw arrows though. And let's step through the process with the goal of being very logical and using sort of the process of elimination and the identification of forcing moves in order to solve this. So, okay. Now, I thought with any tactics puzzle, you want to start with the most forcing moves and just quickly rule them out if they don't work. So here, this move jumps to mind immediately. We can take the rook with check. But I think after the king takes, I don't see what we do. We really need to make a queen here. We're down material. And that knight is never going to get out. Our bishop's not even the right color, so that's no good. If we take the knight, they take our rook, so that one's no good. And I would love to make a queen, but it's blockaded. So those forcing moves don't really do anything. This one I don't think does anything either. We can just simply take with the bishop. So now we need to look at maybe threats. Threats are moves that attack something, such as bishop b3. Got to look at bishop b3 because it does attack a rook. So bishop b3, if the rook tries to move away, like take us, then we make a queen with check, then we win the knight, so that's no good. So they pretty much got to take the bishop. That is what I thought. And then here we would have to take back with the rook. So if we do this, now it's white's turn. They could try to take the pawn and threaten checkmate, but then we make our queen a1 check. So this rook will have to stay there to defend the a1 square. So after bishop b3, knight takes, rook takes. Let's see. I thought the best move for white would be king f2. The reason being, if white did nothing in that position, after bishop, knight takes, rook takes, let's say they just played h4, well, then I think we play rook b1, and rook b1 must be winning because it would pin the rook to the king and also block the a1 square off from the rook. Next, we can make a queen. That's going to be really good. So I thought white has to stop rook b1 in that position. So after bishop b3, knight takes, rook takes b3, they have to stop the threat of rook b1. So king f2, does that kind of stop it? I thought maybe it does, because now if we go rook b1, they can play rook takes d6, threatening mate on d8. So in this position, I thought if we make a queen, we get checkmated. So that was correct. And after bishop b3, knight takes, rook takes, king f2, rook b1. Rook takes d6. Here I calculated a long line, and I thought, okay, if I go back, if I try to protect mate and get behind my pawn, I thought they have time to do stuff now, right? Like they could go possibly like rook a6. Now I'm probably going to lose that pawn. And I didn't like that's not the line I calculated, so I'm wondering what it was now. I think maybe I calculated king f8. So after bishop, knight takes, rook takes, here king f2, rook b1, rook takes d6. Yeah, I thought maybe like king f8 here. And on king f8, now white has time to go let's see. Yeah, maybe rook a6. Rook a6 seems like a good move because it guards a1. And then if I try to make a queen, they can take it with the rook. White has a lot of pawns, so I wasn't sure about that there. If I have a rook against a bishop and 2 pawns, that doesn't seem winning to me. It might be a draw. I mean, white might even have chances there, to be honest with you. Maybe both sides have chances. So I thought, all of that isn't good enough, but I missed a key idea, and I wonder if you guys saw it. So after bishop b3, knight takes, rook takes, king f2, on rook b1, and rook takes d6, it's in this position. There's a forcing move that I did not see. So if you didn't see it either, pause your video. Here's your chance. Yeah, it's the move rook takes f1 check. And after rook takes f1 check, king takes. The king is being drawn back to the first rank. And now we queen with check. There's no time for rook d8 checkmate. The king would move back to f2 or something. Yeah, back to f2. King f8 check. King e7. The rook's attacked. There's no mate. We're up a queen. Black wins. So that was the answer to the puzzle. So you can stop here if you want. But I also have another challenge for you here, because I think this move is very interesting, but I also think an interesting move is bishop b5. This is the move that I played. Now my challenge to you is tell me why this move doesn't win for black. The idea behind this move is I want to go bishop a4, attacking that rook just like the other line, without allowing knight takes b3. So after bishop b4, okay, in this position, I thought, if white does nothing, I'll go bishop a4, and I think that just wins because the rook's basically trapped. It's pinned by this rook, and he can't go here, and they can't take here because of queen takes, or I guess the way we say that is a takes b1 equals queen check. That's the way you write it and say it. And yeah, so I thought this is like a huge threat. How do they get out of this? So after bishop b5, the problem with this move is that it's very slow. So white can do like a lot of different things here. So for example, they could they could like move their knight here, but that doesn't seem like a good idea, because I would then, what would I do? Can I make a queen there? I don't think so. Actually, you know what I would do is play bishop a4 anyway, because it would pin the knight to the rook. I think that looks winning too, because next I could just take it, and if the knight tries to get out, then we take the rook. So after here, I thought the best try for white might be king d2, and then I thought at the very least we have checks, and I feel like we're going to win there, but that's not very concrete. So king d2, I kind of missed that king d2 is a good move. It's the only good move, by the way, because after bishop b5, like king f2, we can just take the rook, so that doesn't work. And I also thought, what else can they do? If they try to just move the bishop, then I think bishop a4 wins. Where do they move the rook? They can't move it anywhere, so we're going to win. But after bishop to b5, king d2, do you see the main idea? After bishop a4, now white can play rook e1. That made a new square for the rook. And now if we take the rook there, it doesn't do anything for us. They just take back, and that's that. We can't get that knight out. We're just on material. So wow, I did not see king d2. And I'm still not sure what's going on after king d2. Rook b2 check, but I'm sort of thinking that maybe the king can just return to e1. I don't see anything super wrong with that. Or maybe they could even go king d2, rook b2 check. Maybe they can even play like king e3. This rook not being pinned anymore is going to be helpful for white, possibly. Because they could potentially take there and threaten mate, gaining a tempo. But all of that is for naught because my move did not work. So, okay, now I'm going to move the pieces as our final playthrough of this position. But I hope you like this puzzle. I think it's quite cool. So, all right, the real move was this. Bishop to b3, attacking the rook. The rook, in this case, really has no moves, so this is forced, and we take. And here, turn up the sound a little bit. Here we're threatening rook b1, right? Like, so this is what I was talking about. If we go rook b1 here, it pins the rook, and we're also threatening to take it. And the rook really can't move. This is just completely lost. We're also threatening to make a queen. So, I mean, I don't know what they do that. I think it's just over. So they have to stop that threat. And this is where I thought, you know, threatening mate doesn't work. It's really clear in this position, isn't it? Because now we just make a queen check. And so I thought king f2 must be the critical move here. We can't make a queen because they take it. And here we play rook b1, threatening to take the rook. And what was the move that I thought here? Oh yeah, I thought this. Because if queen, we get checkmated. I don't like getting checkmated. So I thought I would play something different here. Oh, I was going to just stop the checkmate. This is too slow. I'll check with the engine. Yeah, the engine says this is just equal, which is kind of what I thought. Because now he can go rook a6. And we can make a queen. I saw this. But I thought this endgame was equal. It turns out my assessment was right. So I'm kind of happy about that. And after, yeah, so after rook takes d6, that happens. But this forcing move. Now, if you put this position in front of me, I would definitely find that would be the first move I looked at. So I need to remember to visualize and pause for a moment and look at forcing moves. Because this check, this is totally winning now. The king must take. I mean, if the king doesn't take, then we're just going to make a queen anyway, so they have to take. Queen would check. Yeah, and now we can play anything that stops this checkmate. Even queen a8 is probably fine. Yeah, we could even do this. I mean, this is kind of lame, but we could even throw in checks if we want, like this. But I just like king f8. I like this because now this is attacked. And black is totally winning. If we assess this endgame, by the way, because you might be thinking, okay, queen first rook. I'd rather have the queen. But I don't think this is always so clear. Because white does have two pawns as well. I think what makes this very winning for black is the fact that the king is not very safe. He doesn't really have anywhere for shelter, and that's going to mean that the queen reigns supreme. She's going to have all kinds of forks at all moments. Like, not only is it objectively winning, but it's going to be very difficult to play with white and avoid all the forks everywhere. While the black king can dodge the rook very easily. I don't think that's going to be difficult at all. And this pawn, the only pass pawn, is basically a target, and will be won eventually. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know that analysis was fairly thorough, but I thought it was a good exercise. Let me know if you enjoyed it, and maybe I'll do more. All right, this is Stacia. Have a great day. I will be back with more chess.